My name is Engkanto.
And I am Punky.
And Punky, how are you doing today?
I am excited for today's topic. This should be fun. And actually, I am curious to see how much you might know about this topic as well.
Okay, I'm very curious about this, but
Well, it kind of takes place in your own backyard.
okay, before we go any further, what year period are we talking? Because you seem to like to go back to the olden days during the World War.
This one actually goes from way before then up to modern
wow.
day.
Wow. This is a change of pace?
It is a change of pace. This is a cryptid story. Now, for anyone who is not aware, cryptid is considered a creature that could be a real thing, but has not been proven.
Okay.
It's a fun little avenue if you ever just get bored and want to see what people think might be out there. The thing that I love about this particular cryptid or set of cryptids is unlike things such as Bigfoot or Jersey Devil or Mothman, this one is not only possible, it's entirely probable.
This is another Dogman story then. Because I mean the Dogman story, that was well, I mean we both agree that's like literally impossible in a sense. That's not really something that could happen. But you're saying this one is not on that level?
This one very much is potentially a real thing.
All right, now I'm very curious about this. Yeah, please continue.
So, do the names Beast of Bodmin, Surrey Puma, Finn Tiger, or Beast of Exmoor mean anything to you?
I have heard of the Beast of Exmoor, but I'll be very honest, because of not knowing anything about them properly, I am very limited on it.
Okay. Well, all four of those are names given to sightings of creatures assumed to be big cats.
Oh, ooh, this is interesting. I'm all for this. Wait, hang on. We've gone from dogs to now cats.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, the fun thing about these are, I'm not talking somebody's giant house cat. We're not setting Garfield out on the moors and the fields. I am talking things thought to be leopards, or cougars, pumas, and occasionally lynxes as well.
I didn't think you could get lynx over here due to the temperature.
Actually, you can. Amazingly.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
So, fun fact, and you probably know this better than I do. Typically, England and Britain as a whole is not known for its apex predators, especially cats.
No, that we're really not, and this is why it's surprising to hear you mention about pumas and lynx.
There is a significant absence of apex predators, and the fun bit of history is that at one time the area had several large cats So there is a line of historic native cats that used to live in Britain as a whole, going back to the European scimitar cat, so akin to the saber-toothed cat family, cave lions, European leopards, European jaguars, Eurasian lynx, and the European wildcat.
Good grief, we really are going really far back in this one. Jeez.
I told you. So, yeah, this one has been a possibility simply because even though we don't have a particularly large specimen to deal with or group of specimens, there is a history that, yes, big cats can exist in this area. And so, potentially, if a small population was to get loose, they could survive, which is what makes this entirely possible. Because, now this is going a little before our time, but the 1960s and 70s, it was fashionable and legal to keep exotic pets, big cats being among them, as well as poisonous snakes and crocodiles. I'm not sure I'd want to walk down the sidewalk walking my crocodile and my big cat, but
I mean, this is the sort of thing that you kind of see on, YouTube and things like this. I think there was a time that I think this was recent actually, where a guy was walking his pet crocodile or alligator, I can't remember which one of the two, into a restaurant in Florida, and it's not okay. That's not okay. That's not safe. I mean, you have no idea if these creatures could snap at you at any moment. I mean, fair enough. I seen the film Born Free, and I thought it was a really amazing and touching film. Seeing how the lions and the big cats were just together, that's really amazing. And I really adore how we as humans have been able to have that communication with them and just be at peace. But I'm still at the same time very wary if they can just snap. But
well,
that's just me personally.
animals are animals.
Of
Domesticated or
course.
not, they're going
Yeah.
to have their own personality, they're going to have their own triggers. I mean, it's akin to us going out in public. We're all going to react differently, even as humans. We have the, I would hope we have the knowledge and understanding to address things in a calm and clear-minded manner.
Yeah.
But we also see the news and realize that that's not always the case. And
It's not.
you're taking a creature who, in many cases, has come from a line of evolution that they have figured out how to survive over hundreds and thousands of years. It's not just learning to adapt to humans, it's learning how to survive regardless of humans. And you just can't count on total control. I know humans love to assume that. You know, we love to think that we can run the whole show and, tell things how to act and how to be, but at the end of the day, nature kind of does its own thing regardless of us.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing itself, is that we have no control over creatures like these because they are built this way. And it's not like there's a language barrier where we can actually say, hey, can you translate what this person is saying, or what this creature's feeling? Whatever. We can't do that. So we have to be mindful. And with the knowledge that we have of how they react with snakes, we know of their tail rattling, meaning, okay, they're ready to strike us or whatever, things like this. We have to be very cautious of these little actions.
It's definitely a skill. You have to
Yeah,
read the room, essentially, you know. And if you know you can't do that, don't be around them. Or at least, if you're going to be around them, keep something between you and them.
there was this one report that I saw of a man saying, "Oh, it's so cute. This snake is now becoming getting straight next to his baby as he laid on the floor."
Oh
And
no.
someone said to them, "Yeah, exactly." And someone said to him, "No, you need to move that baby away right away because that snake is preparing to eat it." And
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Tell me,
that just shows
tell
you.
me, tell me the baby lived. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I
oh,
have no idea, but it's just one of those things where you had to take in consideration these little things itself and how important it is to realize that, yeah, nature is like that. And if you don't have an actual idea of what you're doing, what you're handling, then it's best not to have, just your babies or little things around them.
yep.
It's too dangerous.
Well, and it's very much like the joke that is going around, and rightfully so, in a lot of cases. I
Mm.
mean, I have been around animals my whole life. I am very aware that you don't just run up and pet the puppy, so to speak. But
No.
it's a major joke, you know. White women, they all want to pet the puppy. They all want to pet the kitty. They all want to, they want to take everything home. And go on any social media, and that joke is got more than one leg to stand on. I mean, and even I, to a degree, will admit I don't mind animals around. Now, I'm not out chasing bears or big cats or wolves or anything going, I want to pet the puppy, I want to bring it home. Because I am very much aware that that thing is not going unless it wants to. I am very happy
Right.
to just let it do its thing. And if it just
Yeah.
happens to hang around, cool. But I'm not
Yeah.
stupid
So
enough to
here.
walk out and go, here, kitty, kitty. you know, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Don't take that risk.
but there are people who will. And it's it's almost like a status symbol, I think, to some. And at one time it was a huge symbol of power, elegance, money, and people would buy these creatures young and raise
Yeah.
them up with that attitude. Like, this
Yeah.
was literally the 60s and 70s version of I want to pet the puppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for,
Way too dangerous.
and when that puppy or kitty got way too big to control, you ended up with complications.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean,
And
look, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's amazing to see people in wildlife who are able to play with tigers and lions, things like that, and able to just properly train them. But at the same time, again, there's a video I saw on, I think on Reddit, where a guy was in the forest and this orangutan held him by the neck and had him pinned down for about 3 hours or something like that. They said, it's an Italian guy, and If
Yeah.
our listeners can correct me if I'm wrong on that, then please do. But again, something like that is it's too risky. You don't want to take that risk.
I mean, the thing with a lot of the people that do this, they are well aware of the risks. They know that they are getting into something that could potentially cause harm or death. And generally speaking, they are respectful of the creatures that they are handling. And as they
Yeah.
should be. I mean, it's just, it's better to respect the wildlife and go in knowing the risks. And most of them do.
Well, yeah.
So, but not everybody does, unfortunately.
The one thing I'll add to that is you're going into their house. You're going into their field. So be respectful of that because I mean, at the end of the day, if someone came into your house and was disrespectful, putting their muddy shoes on the floor, or just being disrespectful in any type of way, not washing their hands or anything like that, just think of it like that, and that's how I see it as well. When we enter, the animal kingdom, when we go into the forest, that is their home, that is their territory. They know it better than us. So yeah,
And that, I mean, honestly, that brings us right back around to, could these animals survive? And the simple answer is yes. They would adapt, they would survive.
yeah,
And the thing that amazed me the most, I think,
yeah,
is, so in the 60s and 70s, you had the exotic pets. It was not till 1976 that they actually put into law the Dangerous Wild Animals Act. And that did three things.
okay,
You you either had to get a license and have the proper facilities to care for whatever animal you had.
yeah,
You had to give your pet to a zoo or a keeper who was set up and able to do this lawfully,
yeah,
or you had to have your pet put down. Now,
simple as that.
going back to the I want to pet the puppy,
Yeah,
some people could not do that to their pet, but they weren't willing to give them up.
uh,
And so they were released into the wild. And the ironic part of this law, and I think this is the thing that boggles my mind the most, okay,
okay,
that law went into effect in 1976. It was
right,
not until 1981 that it became illegal to release big cats into the wild.
really.
Yep.
And just
I feel
just
like
so our
that was an
listeners know,
oversight.
and just so our listeners know, I was born 2 years after that, so yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. How's that for hitting a little close to home?
Yeah, that is no. Just no. How do you allow it for 2 years, not to just for so long? So, like 2 years before I was born, to decide, okay, yeah, let's introduce this law. What? You know what? I guess like the Houses of the Parliament didn't find it that important at the time. Possibly, I have no idea. We'll go with it. Okay, cool. Well, oh my goodness, what a shame.
Well, I'd like to think that they probably didn't add it simply because they assumed that their people would be law abiding, upright citizens. and they didn't expect them to release wild animals into the wild.
Seriously?
I
Bad
would like to
decision.
think so. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, let's get in that.
But since that time, there have been sightings of big cats. And
Yeah.
so the theory is that enough of these creatures were released into the wild
Mm.
that there became a successfully breeding population.
Not what we want, but yeah.
Well, you won't have an overpopulation of deer or rabbits.
Um. Yeah, I mean that's one way to get rid of them. It's an unfortunate way of doing it, but yeah, so be it. Let's do it that way.
I mean, it, what is that song? Life finds a way.
Yeah, literally, it's found a way to take care of
It's
this
found
problem.
a way. It has. And
Oh my goodness.
what amazes me, okay, so there are literal accounts of people physically being able to photograph or touch big cats from these sightings,
Oh
such
jeez.
as, yeah, in 1989, a what they deemed jungle cat was found dead at the
Hmm.
roadside in Shropshire. I think I said that right. Correct me if
Yorkshire.
I'm okay. And the assumption is that it was hit by a car, probably. Now that was the smaller end of the big cats. That was more somewhere between a house cat and, say, a cougar. In 1991, a northern lynx was shot at Beccles. I'm not sure. Beccles. It was in Suffolk.
Not sure.
Okay,
Okay.
so they actually did shoot that one.
Right.
Now this one is interesting,
Okay.
and hopefully you can sleep after this. 2001.
Why? Yeah.
Because I just, it's interesting.
Yeah. 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 It's to just hear me scream in my bed.
You won't be recording then. It's okay. Nobody will know.
Uh-huh. So if our listeners find out that I'm not available, we understand why. Thank you very much.
2001. A lynx was captured in London, taken to the zoo.
Nope. 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 Nope.
See, now you have to make a trip to the zoo and visit this lynx. Come on.
No, I'm good. I am very good.
It was taken to the zoo. They tranquilized it with, like, blowguns and darts, and took it to the zoo, treated it for a paw injury, and kept it. So, I mean, you never know what could be watching in the middle of the night.
That doesn't fill me with joy, okay? Like, I live in London. My goodness. I'm sure some of our listeners are based in London as well. I mean, they're probably now thinking like, crap, like, what's those eyes?
You'll be fine.
Uh-huh. Like,
It,
psh, psh. Oh crap. Okay, no, that was wrong of me. I apologize.
in all my research, I have not found an actual attack on anybody that resulted in death. There was one attack that I heard of, and it was a child, and they
I
mistook
knew it.
they mistook the creature for their pet cat.
You
And
see, I knew it.
well, what happened? I mean, I've had pet cats that didn't want to be held. And what
Yep.
happened when you try to pick up a cat that doesn't want to be held? You mess with the kitty, you get the claws. Unfortunately,
As I know, as a cat owner, two cats own it. Owner.
they are very opinionated.
Yeah. They'll come to you when they want something.
Exactly. But that is the only report that I have seen where anybody was even hurt, let alone anything more serious. So, this is a story that does not involve a lot of actual interaction. Most of them are just seen from a distance. In fact, I believe, other than the boy, the one in London was the most surrounded by human activity. And and some of these sightings go way back. Like the fin tiger, which, interesting fact, is not actually a tiger.
It's what? Hang on. What?
I don't understand this either. Now, the sightings go back to 1978, but they all say a big black cat type creature.
So not like a puma.
No, but I can't find where they got the name for the tiger part of it either. I, to my knowledge, there are no melanistic tigers. I've heard of white tigers plenty of times, but I can't
Yeah.
say that I've ever heard of nor seen a black tiger.
Right.
And to my knowledge, we don't have melanistic pumas either.
Right.
They are typically a brownish color or a sandy color. Now, jaguars are melanistic from time to time. That is not uncommon. It's lesser so than the natural coloring, but they can have melanistic offspring. It's entirely possible, I would think, that maybe it's a jaguar, but maybe fin jaguar just doesn't roll off the tongue as well as fin tiger.
Maybe I think this is, sometimes with the media they like to scare people, and maybe this is one of those instances where the person writing the article was just trying to make it worse than it actually is.
It's entirely possible. And unfortunately, some of the creatures have had multiple name changes. The Surrey puma, for example, has also been dubbed the Crondale cougar, the Munstead monster, and then they finally settled on the Surrey puma. So it's entirely possible that that was a media spectacle that just stuck.
Yeah, it seems it.
The beast of Exmoor has been spotted since the 70s and 80s. So, we're talking most of these creatures have been around a good 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And the one that really shocked me, the the Surrey puma has actually possibly been recorded the longest. And that one potentially, now I say potentially, this is actually a really interesting source. Um,
Okay.
this is coming straight from the Surrey PCC website.
Right.
And I don't know if you're familiar with what the PCC is.
No, I was hoping you would actually say.
So, this is from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner for Surrey.
Right. Okay.
So, this isn't, somebody's blog. This is from the police themselves, that they have found reports from history that report a big gray cat the size of a medium-sized spaniel at Waverley Abbey in 1825.
I cannot.
Oh, it gets better, because while they have sightings back that long, it definitely was at a peak time in the 60s
Yeah.
with sightings between September 1964 and August 1966. So, about 2 years. They had 362 reported sightings.
That's too many already. I'm sorry. That's too many. You should not have that higher number.
I mean,
No.
that's almost one a day if you condense it into a year. Like, and that's just the reported sightings. How many people didn't report what they could have
Well,
seen?
exactly. Yeah. And were they too scared? And what? Again, this is probably another fact to itself. What people thinking like, now look, we know what you're like. You've seen so many things. You told us all these bizarre stories. We do not believe you. We can't take you seriously. Or,
Right.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is something that can possibly happen. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's very legitimately a real thing.
And it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And it's amazing that a lot of these really are kind of word of mouth stories, but they are actually, reported to the cops or report. And the thing is, they are validated. They are
Yeah.
absolutely validated in
Mm,
that there have been bodies. There have been, you know, they literally have the jungle cat that they had a body. They found it on the side of the road. They handled it. They picked it up. You know, and they had a cat. Now, this one, and this should make you feel a little better. This one happened in
mm,
Scotland. It happened in Scotland. So,
just a little better.
I mean, there's a little bit of distance there.
Yeah, okay.
But it was a wild cat, and she was moved to the Highland Wildlife Park. They caught her. A farmer caught her in 1980, and she was taken to the park, and they named her Felicity, and that's where
Okay.
she spent the rest of her days.
Oh,
And apparently, you
wait.
could go visit her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was getting a bit worried.
Now, they let her live out the rest of her life, so that it wasn't. like they put her down or anything. They kept her
That's
until
great.
she, yeah. Um, from what I can tell, it looks like they potentially taxidermied the wildcat that they found. So that one is still very much a, example of, yes, this is here. I did not get an up to date on the lynx that was shot in Suffolk, but apparently they had that one taxidermied as well. And they sold it to a collector. It didn't say who. And
Okay.
last anybody knew, he had it on display in his house.
Wait,
So,
hang on. Oh crap! It's dead.
well, that was number one. That was in '91, which
Oh, okay,
is
right there.
over 20 years ago. Which would it be
All right, fine.
insanely old for a cat of any
Yeah.
size? But yes, they shot that one and killed it after it killed about 15 sheep in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the farmers will be very pleased to know that it's no longer alive.
Yeah, I mean, that was a hungry kitty. So, you know,
It needs to
that's
eat.
it does. It does need to eat. And there was one I had not actually included this earlier, but there was another lynx that was spotted. Now that one was spotted in '96 near Fintona. I hope I said that right. And that one was shot as well by a marksman. And the irony in that one is the reports that have been coming in were of a young lion. Complete misidentification, or there was more than one big cat roaming the area.
Yeah.
And the lynx was wearing a collar.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay. Hmm.
that makes that one a little weirder because that
Yeah.
is the only report that I have found where the animal actually was wearing any kind of collar or identifier.
Well, this is a bit different.
The assumption on that is it was probably an escapee of a private collection,
Yeah.
but nobody ever came forward. So take that for what you will.
Sounds a bit unfortunate, but yes.
Yeah. And supposedly, and I say this because this is the information I had, supposedly that one was also stuffed and placed in the RUC museum at one point. So there are specimens that actually back up the fact that there are big cats being found.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most interesting part of this because while big cats in and of themselves are not recognized officially as being a creature in Britain, and they're certainly not native at this point,
Definitely not. No.
they are apparently alive and well. And even to the point that the government stepped in at one point and had a research survey done.
Okay, I'm interested. Please continue.
Well, so the government in 1995 decided to try to get to the bottom of the sightings once and for all. And they investigated the beast of Bodmin. And of course, that included, scientists and professionals and such. Excuse me. But they could not verify one way or another if big cats actually exist.
I mean, I'm sorry, but how can we not exactly say they don't exist? I mean, obviously they do.
That is a very in-depth question. So,
Yeah.
the thing that makes a cryptid, essentially, is it is very hard to prove they exist. It's very much akin to the arguments with Bigfoot. Bigfoot doesn't exist because we've never found a body, right?
Right, yeah, fair.
Big cats are, by nature, elusive animals. They hunt, they're quiet, they're hunters that are meant to be stealthy. They move ideally without being seen. And that means they already have advantages against us finding them. You put them in an area that has a very small population anyway, they have a lot of area to roam and not a whole lot of chance of being around others of their species.
Yes.
Which means
Yeah.
you're not going to see them in groups or, such as any other place. You would have more chances seeing pack animals versus a single creature. And animals are not known to be pack animals. I mean, cats.
No.
These animals are very much solitary, single. They only come together. I think lions are about the only ones that actually live in a group. And none of these reports actually have ever shown a lion.
Well, I mean, it raises a question. When they did have them over here, did you? Obviously, we know about the whole licensing thing later, but I'm just curious how they're able to try and be able to keep the lion in the house without allowing guests to be mauled or eaten. And I don't know, was there a contract you have to sign before you enter the house saying like, hey, just before you enter, we need you to sign this contract that in case of anything happening to you, if my lion or my creature decides to do any attack, you can't sue me or whatever. Or would you prefer me to come around to your house instead for tea? Just
Now that would be an interesting conversation. Like I could just see people, high tea, and it's like, where are we having it? Well, we're not going to that house because they have big cats.
yeah.
That oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Also, this also interests me. Did they have a safe place for the animals itself? Because I can't imagine they allow them to just freely sleep in the garden or the in the same
Well,
bedroom as them. I mean, that no.
a lot of the people who had these animals kept them just free roaming in their houses. And that was part of why they did the law the way they did. They actually made it so these people had to essentially make a private zoo type of facility for these cats or whatever they had. And the idea was that they would be in an enclosure that they could not escape, that kept them
Right.
separate from other people.
I'm just imagining at the dinner table. You know, you got your nice juicy steak or whatever, and the lion is or the puma is not happy about it. It's like, you're not eating that. That's my dinner. You know, it's just
Could you imagine eating supper and this giant lynx or jaguar just jumps up on your kitchen table and just goes, "Nope, that's mine now." I mean,
exactly. You can't exactly say bad kitty. Like, just
what are you gonna do? You gonna give it this little fly swatter and just like, no, bad, no. I mean,
exactly. You can't do anything to this. I mean, this is just awful. You're restricted in so many ways.
could you imagine a squirt bottle? You get this little squirt bottle and this
Oh
big old.
no.
That would
You have just
not.
erased it.
Right. Like, that cat's gonna look at you and go, "Are you kidding? Are you really
Yep.
kidding?"
Get a hose.
Like
Get a
I can
hose.
I yeah. Like they're literally gonna look at you and go like, "Excuse me, I can do my own bath." You know,
Right. I
as
don't
they
need your help.
saunter away with your steak.
Yeah. You
I
cannot
mean,
eat peacefully.
yeah, yeah. It's just it boggles my mind.
It
I'm
does me as
just
well.
I I mean we're used to it here because
Right, okay.
there are plenty of states that have cougars or pumas,
Yeah.
and you know we are very aware that it's much like having bears. You just don't tick them off. You don't go chasing them thinking that they're your house cat. To be fair, when you're a child, you don't always know the difference. But
I understand that, but at the same time, I mean, isn't this where the parent comes in and say, do not do this to big cats because of how they will attack you or things like this? You know, just this whole thing itself.
ideally, yes, that is where the parents parent. But again, that is giving a lot of credit to people and assuming that they're all going to be logical and responsible
Yeah.
people. you know, and unfortunately, we don't know the story on this one. I will say. All we
Yeah.
know is it was an 11-year-old boy and he got scratched across the face.
Oh,
Yeah,
how old was he?
he was 11.
11 years old. And when did this exactly happen?
It happened in 2000 in South Wales.
I mean, I really hope that boy is going to be okay. I mean, surgery and all of that.
The surgery would have been, uh, the pain would have been brutal.
Oh, definitely. I can already, like, hear the boy screaming from here. I mean, good grief. That is
Oh
not
yeah,
something you actually do.
I don't know if you've been up close to some of the big cats.
Not had a chance.
I have been to a couple of zoos, and while I haven't been like right next to them, I've been close enough. I don't know if it's just my perception or lack thereof, but when I think big cats, I think big. And the cats that I've always seen, they're definitely not small house cats. I'm very aware of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing that surprises me,
Mm,
and maybe it shouldn't, I don't know, but it always amazes me, they're always a little smaller than I expect them to be.
right.
But they are muscular. And I think that's the
Yeah,
part that, I always expect them to be a little taller because you think, they're big. But they're really, a lot of them are the size of a large dog. But they're tanks. I mean, they're just beefy. And their paws are huge. So I'm quite sure like the paw was half the size of this kid's face, depending on what kind of cat it was.
oof, yeah. I mean, the fact that it's ripped its, well, not ripped, but I mean, clawed the boy's face. I mean, that says it all. Come on now, that's awful.
At least it wasn't a bite.
I mean, it wasn't a bite, but still disinfecting and things like that, just to try to sustain the injuries. The pain the boy's got to be going through, it's screaming in absolute terror.
But think about, he got scratched, and I'm not saying this to be dismissive at all,
No, no, of course not.
because
No.
I mean that's a lot to go through at that age, definitely.
Well, yeah, definitely,
But
yeah.
imagine if this cat got ticked off and actually attacked. I mean, cats as hunters tend to go for the throat.
Yeah,
They tend to do either a cut through a major artery or a suffocation type of attack, because that's how they typically kill their prey. So if this cat had gotten really ticked off and actually attacked, you know, that kid could have been dead, because an 11-year-old
definitely.
kid's neck versus a big cat bite.
Mm-mm.
As harsh as it sounds, I am so glad that it was just the scratch.
Yeah, same. And do we know where the child is now? Like, or has he become anonymous?
From what I can tell, he survived.
Yeah.
That's also, honestly, I have questions about this, but it was in the
Yeah.
report, and that's why I added it.
Okay.
But I do have to say, I kind of question the story simply because the cat was never found, and they did search for it because they couldn't be sure what it was, but it was
Right.
never found. And I'm I'm sitting here going, at 11, how do you not recognize the size difference? And how did you get up to it? So this was either somebody's pet, or there's more than just trying to pet it.
Yeah, there does seem that more to the story. Yeah.
most cats, if they don't want to be pet, their first inclination is not to attack. They're going to
Yeah.
run more often than not. So I do have questions of how this child was able to get that close to a wild cat.
Just
And it might be
something's
like,
very wrong there.
yeah, and it might be, like you said, some news outlets use fear to sell their stories. Maybe he was scratched and they blew it up to more than what it was. But I can't say for sure. That is the most publicized story, though, about any big cat attacks.
And it's just
You're very hard pressed to find actual attacks anywhere in the
Yeah.
UK. So,
Yeah.
and I think that in itself speaks for a lot, because if you're trying to find a wildcat, typically you look for prey items, you look for attacks, you look for, evidence of where the cat's been. And
Yeah.
one of those just does not exist. You don't have the attacks, you don't have the interaction with people. So
Yeah.
they're avoiding people more often than not. And that's probably why we don't have much more than the occasional body from a shooting of the animal or a collision with a car or some such event like that.
It's just awful. No matter what way you look at it, it's just awful.
It is. It really is. But there's also a bit of peace in the fact that these animals are adapting, they are surviving, and they're doing so without a lot of unproportionate encounters. You don't have people that are getting hurt, and overall, you don't have a lot of cats that are getting hurt as well.
No, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a few that have been shot, there have been a few that have been captured,
Mm.
but most of the ones that are captured end up in some kind of zoo or being kept somewhere safe.
Yeah.
It's really the ones that encounter farmers that end up a casualty.
Yeah, and that's it. I think the main thing is over here in especially in London itself, the one thing you see a lot of now, which is pretty unusual, is a load of foxes. And the foxes don't seem to mind us at all now. They literally do not care. Some of them will just be hanging around and not care. They won't come up to you. Not all of them. Some may, but I wouldn't advise it again because they may still turn on you. But you see a lot of foxes nowadays walking the streets in broad daylight or in people's gardens, and it's something very unusual, and it makes you think, wow, have they adapted to us in a sense? How pigeons have in a sense, because pigeons are also kind of a creature that doesn't really seem to mind. And people have said a few squirrels are now not even scared of, going near humans. And again, that's kind of a weird situation. So, yeah, it just shows you that wildlife has changed its way.
And that's the thing. I mean, I can't speak for over there, I mean, over here, sometimes there are signs saying don't feed the wildlife. And it boggles my mind because I'm going, who in their right mind is taking food out into the forest, feeding the bears or the wolves or, whatever might be around? It's one thing to take a loaf of bread and feed the ducks.
Yeah,
You know, they're migratory. They're going to do what they and that has its own risks, admittedly,
yeah,
but it's typically not quite as serious as feeding a local predatory animal. But the fact that we have to be told, don't feed the wildlife,
yeah.
and part of the reason for that is they come to expect it, which
Of
means they're
course,
going to come closer and closer to the cities, the towns, that they're going to associate people with food.
they are.
I mean, look at the human species. We don't have to hunt, we don't have to farm, we don't have to, like, a large majority don't have to sustain themselves. They go to the store and it's right
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Now, somebody's got to do the work, obviously.
yeah.
If you look at society as a whole, the
Hmm.
mentality is we don't have to do this because we can go get food. We know where to go get food. We're not the first ones to come up with that mentality, nor are we the only ones.
No, and I think this is the problem itself. Is that by again some of the videos I've seen where people are feeding food for the bear, or even well, yeah, there was a video where I saw people feeding the bear, and you're that's not right because I mean the bear has to hunt. It has to find its own way to find food because by the time you keep feeding food to the bear and things like this, the bear's not going to know how to hunt. It's not going to know how to be a bear. It's going to rely on someone to feed it all the time, and that's not a good thing.
Well, and that's the thing. And we have over here, and it's common. You get on social media and you can see this almost every video that's posted. People drive through parks or whatever, and
Yeah,
they get containers to feed certain animals. And these animals are going right up to the cars. They're sticking their heads in people's vehicles. There is no
yeah,
fear. There is no self preservation anymore.
no,
Humans mean food. And it's just
yeah.
that simple. And eventually it gets to the point where it's not cute anymore. It becomes dangerous to both the animal and the people.
I
And
think this is where the problem is. Yeah,
it
where,
is.
like you said, it's become too dangerous.
Luckily, in this case, many of the cats are still very much wild. They
Yeah,
exist as they should, and that means they keep their distance from people. Now, farms are a buffet. That's just the nature of the beast. You have multiple prey animals in an enclosure generally, or in a very small area where these animals are able to just take their pick. And that's why farmers generally have the most problems with them, because you've essentially set up a buffet without intending to.
unfortunately, yeah. Bon appetit.
Exactly. I mean, it's no different than us going out and going, okay, this one's going to be turkey dinner. And as we say, cats are smart. They're not going to pass up an easy meal. It's not a lot of effort. They're able to pick and choose, get in, get their meal, get out. So it takes 90% of the hunting and effort out of it. You go grab your meal and you're gone.
Pretty much. I mean, like, problem solved.
Exactly. And I think that's a lot of why the official stance is we can't prove that these cats exist. I think they're out there, honestly. I mean, there's too many videos and there's too many occurrences that speak to big cats. And there's been bodies, which is the one
Yeah.
thing that a lot of cryptids don't have. Now, obviously, if sightings have happened since the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even as far back as the 1800s, there must be a fairly decent breeding population. As to the
Yeah.
size, nobody can say. But there's enough of a population to keep it going this long.
And it's not a case that we know if they're going to become extinct or something like that, because we have zoos as well, so that keeps them going. But to say we have the wild versions of them, again, that's a very different story. And yeah, I mean, again, maybe a child would look at the animal in the zoo and think, oh, they're so cute. And behind this glass frame, they're thinking everything is safe. And now, like this poor child who got his face clawed by one of these big cats, he's now probably realizing, actually, no, this is the risk I take by actually doing things like this. And what a horrible way to learn a lesson. Absolutely horrible.
It is. And I hope more people stop and consider that. These are not your house cats. These are not, this isn't a stray kitty that you can take a tin of Friskies out and,
No.
tame it down. These are wild animals. They are survivors. They
Yeah.
survived in people's houses. They can survive in the wild. They have
Yeah.
adapted and they will continue to survive as long as we give them the space to do so.
Yeah. And that will always be the case. But I'm also interested because you said about the animals over there. You spoke about bears and big cats over there. How is it in your location itself? I mean, do you also have wild horses over there?
We have wild horses in what would be more of the western area from where I'm at.
Right. Okay.
Um, I have seen videos, but I've never actually seen wild horses myself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And again, people are getting involved and they're becoming less and less of a thing. Now,
Oh.
interestingly enough,
Mm.
while we don't have the wild horses, unfortunately,
Mm.
we are in the same boat you are.
Okay.
We live in an area that supposedly does not
Yeah.
have wild big cats.
Oh.
However, there have been claims of sightings of cougars in the area.
Hmm.
So we have our own cryptid big cats, as it were, because while it's not common, again, it's
Yeah.
very hit or miss. there have been people who have claimed to see wild cats and potentially caught them on camera. To my knowledge, there has never been a body yet.
Which is
But we
good. Touch
also,
wood, there isn't.
yeah, we also we have a lot of farmers, but a lot of
Yeah,
our farmers are cattle or
right.
their crops. A cow is a big animal for a lone cat to take down. Not saying it's impossible. It's
Yeah,
entirely possible. Most are not going to go after an animal that big alone.
definitely not. They want to go as a pack.
Yeah, and they want to go after an easy prey. They're not going to do something that's going to get them hurt.
No.
Most of the farmers here, if
Hmm.
they have cattle, they have several head of cattle. It would be a dangerous endeavor for a cat.
Yeah,
So now that's not to say some of the people who have chickens go missing. Yeah, that might be an option for them. But unless you have a camera, not a lot of proof either way.
no.
But
And again, it's still bad.
it is. It really is.
I mean, I do remember you saying, I think you had an encounter with a bear once back in the Dogman episode.
I did.
And I mean, was there any others like this as well? And how do you feel now hearing all these reports?
I have never had anything more dangerous than the bear. And ironically enough, I didn't consider it dangerous. Not because I
Wow.
did the whole pet the puppy thing. I was very much aware. It was just very much there was an understanding. I grew up
Yeah.
on a 40-acre field, literally. It was very much an understanding with everybody. She had the woods, I had the field. If we saw her, we did not go near her. We kept our distance, and if she came up to the house, I was not aware of it. But there wasn't a lot that she would be able to get into, so she probably didn't really hang around. If she did, she came up to the bushes in the yard because we did have wild berry bushes. We didn't do anything that would put either one of us in jeopardy. We knew she was there, and so we gave her that berth.
And I think that's again like, respecting each other's territories.
Yeah, but I have had encounters with other animals. I have had raccoons, which are really fun. I don't see them as dangerous or anything. I have learned,
Um,
though, do not throw corn cobs at them in the trees. They will throw them back after they have
oh
finished eating.
wow.
Yeah, they can be their own kind of sassy. We had corn, and we would cut chunks of the cob up and toss it up to him, and he would sit and eat up there, and then he would throw it back at us. So I have also had I've had possums. As a teen, had cats that preferred to eat outdoors, and so we had a spot on the porch that we would set their food. And I came face to face with a possum one day as I was checking their food. He never hissed. He just he stared at me. More of this judgmental, excuse me, I'm eating here attitude. And then he hopped down and waddled away. But he was at the house almost nightly, right up on the back porch. So I have had my share of encounters with wildlife and just learn to live with it. I mean, we have possums around here now, and I've even named it. the one that I know. He will
Oh,
not come
that's
up.
cute.
Yeah, we have Poe the possum, and he hangs around the house.
Hang
So
on, what did you call it again? Sorry?
Poe,
Poe.
yeah,
P-O.
we have Poe the possum, and he's a wild possum. You know, he's not domesticated. He's just taken up residence around the area, and we see him from time to time. You know, he'll be curled up on the porch in one of the pots that we have for flowers, or hiding, somewhere around the farm, and we just we're aware he's there, and we don't do anything that would harm him, and he goes on his merry way.
For myself, I've not actually dealt with any wild animals, and I guess I'm lucky in that regard, especially when I went to. Well, actually, that's not technically true. I mean, I did see wild dogs um, when I went abroad. I saw wild dogs, like, all running up and down the streets, and a few wild cats who were just, again, just eating food from someone like who's selling on the streets, feeding them, giving them water, shelter, and it made you feel homely, sort of thing. I felt very warm inside to see that happening.
And that is amazing. There are people who, obviously not with wildlife, but with the
Yeah,
strays that are not domesticated in any way, they will feed them and they will care for them, and you know that in itself is not a bad thing, I don't think.
exactly.
And if they could be domesticated, would be even better. Place them in homes, get them off the street.
And I think that's the whole thing itself. Where these animals are, these big cats are in the UK itself, and whether they're hiding, they're hopefully not attacking any more people, they're not being disturbed in their own peaceful place itself. Just all we can hope for, really. Um, I hope they're doing okay. I hope that they can find a restful place to just call home for themselves. And I think this is the other thing itself is that they've been taken away from an environment that they're not really too sure of, and they had to adapt to where they are now, which is what they've done. But home is home, and if this is now their new home, like I said, I hope they can make it a peaceful one. Well, Punky, do you have any final words?
I just hope that you can sleep tonight without worrying about a kitty cat visiting.
I'm going to be careful when I walk around the park now. I probably won't be hanging around when it comes to night time. And yeah, yeah, thanks. Like, seeing these glowing eyes staring back at me, be like, oh, frick, what is that? Good Lord.
So this is probably not a good time to mention some of the sightings are during the day.
Okay, Pete, so it's good to have you this week on this another episode of Mysterious Knowledge. Oh, for goodness sake, Punky.
Oh.
Thank you, Punky, for bringing the fear once again on another unfortunate event.
Everybody send happy thoughts to Encanto. He might need it.
I'm going to need all the happiness I can get right now because, yeah, the fear of cats has actually been brought into my soul. Yeah, like I said, feels like the most unfortunate events that could possibly happen, and you're just bringing it to my attention.
The world is filled with wonder. Enjoy it.
Are you talking about the big cat? Or are you talking about myself? Because I feel like you're talking about the big cat, just ready to embrace me and just say to me, like, enjoy this piece of meat that is there for you to eat.
I'm just saying, The cat's not going to attack you. It'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Pete's, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back soon with another episode. Again, I have no idea what it's going to be about because Punky keeps me on my toes, and I will soon be doing my own episode where I'll be surprising Punky with my story. But unfortunately, I still have a lot of college work to do, so college comes first. So yes.
Well, I look forward to the day that I can be surprised. Until then, I will find all the fun, exciting, mysterious things I can possibly find.
Well, Pete's, we'll speak to you soon. Take care, enjoy yourselves, and be careful out there.
Thanks for listening.